everyone, it's Sam with Lovely Scrappin'. I'm here with another I Am Rose's design team project as well as a design team swap project. So we are doing an I Am Rose's design team swap for those who signed up in our group. And I am swapping with L'Amour, and I really hope she likes this. I really wanted to try steampunk. I've never done anything steampunk, and I had a few things from the Graphic 45 steampunk debutante collection. So, and those were given to me by Deb 2113. Thanks so much, Deb. And I also had lots of metal stuff in my stash and whatnot. So I really wanted to kind of incorporate it into a project for L'Amour. She did mention she likes the teal colors right now, so right away I remembered the teal in the steampunk collection, so I thought I would try doing that. So it's definitely a mixed media, sort of grunge type of theme. She did mention she likes the grunge as well, so I hope that you like it, L'Amour. Let me go through what I've done. I do have some clips that I've put together of me constructing the box portion and doing a bit of the painting and stuff on the outside of it, so you guys have an idea of how I created it. I did just take like a wood box from my dollar store, and I took the lids from both of the boxes because the bottom piece was thicker, and I took the lids from both boxes and put them together to form this box. And then I did create the configuration inside, and I'll show that in a second. And I've done a lot of texturing, like with a layering of papers, and I used gesso and my acrylic paints and rub and buff to get this really cool two-tone or multi-tone type of effect on the box, and that you'll see that in more detail in the clips that I've put together. And I have this netting, and it's white. It's like this wedding type of netting, and I painted it black and put some rub and buff, some gold on there, and I did all kinds of stuff with gesso and everything to sort of tuck it in here and there and make it sort of three-dimensional. And then I ripped some paper from the paper collection, Graphic 45 Steampunk paper collection, and I did a lot of distressing with my Tim Holtz black soot distress ink, and I did whitewashing over top of the papers, all of the papers with gesso and water, just to make it a little bit more washed out so it wasn't so bold. I pretty much touched everything with gesso on this. Everything has gesso on it. And this was a die cut I got from Mini Album Scraps. It's chipboard, very thin type of chipboard, and it's laser cut, and it has these little holes in the corset, you guys, and I tell you, it's really hard threading those little holes. I put thread through there to make it like a crisscross corset type thing and tied a bow, and then just added a piece of metal. It's actually one of the balls from the ball chain, and I flattened it a little bit, cut it in half and flattened it a bit to put there. And I embossed this with some gold embossing powder, and then inked it up and painted it and all kinds of things. This is from the Tim Holtz Adage tickets, Live and Dream, that I just trimmed up and inked up. And oh, there's so much happening here, you guys. I don't even know where to start. Again, this is the Tim Holtz, the mini Baroque die, the chipboard. It's on a heavyweight chipboard. Sorry about the glare, you guys, or not glare, but the shadow. Everything is so dimensional, it's really hard to record it. These gears are a mix of the bead landing gears from Michaels as well as the Tim Holtz gears. So I've added those there. There's pretty much gears everywhere. There's some hiding there. This is a little stamp that I fussy cut from the paper collection. I put the ball chain along here, and this is I punched this with my 2-inch circle punch out of the collection as well. The paper collection added, she did have a gear as an earring in the picture, so I wanted to add an actual gear there. These are some wings also from Mini Album Scraps. Let me just show you quickly, you guys. These are the laser cuts. Like, look how intricate these die cuts are. And this is the Steampunk collection, or the kit, I guess you can call it. So they've got all different types of like dress forms, mini bird cages, clock pieces, gears, wings, all kinds of stuff in there. So the corsets I used, as well as the image on the back I'll show you here in a second, and the wings. So these I embossed with copper embossing powder, and with this Baroque dye. I did the bubble kind of effect with my acrylic paint. It works really good with metallic acrylic paint when you overheat it with your heat gun and it bubbles. And so that's how I got a lot of the texture on this. It's kind of hard to make on camera, but after you go over it with gesso, it picks up on the raised areas. I went over it with some rub and buff too, so that's what that is. And more paper that I've ripped from the paper collection and added it in there. This is a large G3 gardenia, the two-tone and the brown. This is an R21 that used to be white, and I made up my own color of paint with gesso and pine needles, distress ink, re-inker, and I don't even know what else I put in there, you guys. I think a little bit of yellow. Anyway, I played with the colors to try to get the color to match the paper collection, so I just mixed and mixed until I got the right paint color, and I even I mixed it, this is what it's in, my little girl's yogurt container, and I just put, you know, plastic over top of it with an elastic band, and that's the leftover paint so it stays moist so I can still use it. And this is a little wood spool that I did some painting with black and then went over it with rub and buff, gold rub and buff, and then put a chain around it. And then I just put a little bit of gesso on the chain. Now this is a gear. Again, it's a gear from this Mini Album Scraps die cuts, the laser die cuts, and I embossed it as well. No, actually, sorry, I painted this one with black acrylic paint and went over it with gold rub and buff. This one here is another one of the gears. I don't know if you guys can make it out, and that one I painted with the teal paint mixture, and then I went over it with copper embossing powder to give it sort of a partial embossed look, so some of that teal peeks through. And then this is this is a G2 gardenia in black, and I went over it with some gesso and water and then some rub and buff, gold rub and buff there. And let's see. Oh, and then this is just a charm I had in my stash. And if you guys can see a bit of the black netting kind of a look, let's see if I can, here we go, right there. What I did was, I don't have a stamp or a mask or anything yet that has like chicken wire look or like a grid type of a look. So I took this netting and I went over it with the black acrylic paint, and then I stamped it down on top of, just carefully like pressed it down in different areas all over the box so that I got that sort of a stamped look. And you can kind of see it there too. Some partial stamping kind of a thing with acrylic paint and the netting. So that's just an idea for you guys if you have something with some texture to it that you can just use it as a stamp type of thing with acrylic paints. It worked well, so I like the look that gave me. So that is the front of the box. This I just drilled holes into the box and screwed in the handle, but it is literally screwed in there so it should not come off. So it's literally, you can hold it with the handle, no problem. So that's that. And then going on to the back, I just kind of wanted to do something a little more simple, just because I was just going to put my handmade stamp back here. But then I decided, oh, well, you know, if it's sitting up, the back can be seen, so why not do a little bit more? So the set of wings and this dress form is from the Steampunk collection from Mini Album Scraps as well. It came in the kit. And I colored it with the paints, like all different types of colors, went over it with gesso, went over it with black soot. I did all kinds of stuff to get the look. And again, some paper piece ripped up from the paper collection. It has the corsets on it from the Steampunk collection from Graphic 45. More of the netting that I painted and sort of glued and left some pieces up so it had some texture to it. And then this was just a metal frame in my stash I had. Then I, stamped and then put glossy accent over it. But when it was somewhat dry, I went and touched places with my fingers because I didn't want it to be a smooth finish. I want it to be distressed looking, so I kind of touched it and rubbed it with my fingers, so it made it a little bit of a textured glossy accent type of look, if that makes any sense. And then I went over it with some gesso over top to kind of wash it out a little bit. Okay guys, so that's that. Oh my goodness, a lot of explaining. I'm sorry. Hope I'm not boring you all. Let's get into the inside, the good stuff here. Alright, so this just opened. Then when you open it, and you guys, I will have pictures at the end and on my blog. So for all the details for the I Am Roses products used, go to my blog. But as for pictures, because I have the light coming in through the window this way, it's going to cast a shadow in the boxes, so I apologize, but I did try to take some half-decent pictures, so refer to those for more details of each of the configurations. Now, again, this was just a plain box, so I had to make these little configuration squares, or windows, out of chipboard. I've done that before if you watched my masculine configuration, sort of a canvas thing I made for my husband on Father's Day. I just took chipboard and I double layered it, and I went and made this. I kind of made a little bit different, and you will see me doing that in the clips that I've attached to this video. And then I did the decoupage with pieces of the sort of a vintage paper bag that I ripped up into pieces, and I just did decoupage over top of all of these little shelving pieces that I made to go in there. And then in the back is just a square of the Graphic 45 Steampunk collection that I whitewashed, and yeah. So anyway, let's get to it. Okay, so this is just one of those fractured dolls, and I just painted it and did all kinds of stuff to make it look not so ivory. And then in the back are some gears that I've just attached to the back. This is a fragment, Tim Holtz fragment piece that I added some of the paper collection in the back, and you can't make it out, but it's like a little vehicle there. You can't really see it. You can see it, but not on camera. And then this is another spool that I just wrapped some string around, and then added a little trinket pin that says Elements, and then I put gesso on a little screw back there, and everything pretty much here is adhered with glossy accents because I love glossy accents and it works so well. If you put enough there, you know, it's not going anywhere. So I'm crossing my fingers that when I package this up and send it to Lemoore, everything will still be in its place, I'm hoping. Here's a paper clip that I just sort of stained a little bit with some vintage photo and then went over it with gesso. Some ball chain here I just sort of dangled. Whoops, sorry you guys. Oh, that's too bad. Ball chain, and then a little tiny I Am Roses flower there. Okay, that's a little bit better. And then the next one, I have this little teeny tiny bottle I got from my dollar store that had micro beads in it, and I just took out the micro beads and put in some vintage paper that I just recently got from Sabine. Thank you, Sabine. All of the vintage paper, like in the booklet and everything, and here is all from that paper that she gave me. So I rolled it up to make it look like a little message in a bottle and tied a little string around it. This is a piece of the paper collection that I just fussy cut, and it's kind of sticking on one of those spiral paper clips. And then this is another I Am Roses flower that I just did. I think I painted it black and then just touched it with the rub and buff, gold rub and buff on the edges. And this is one of those cameos from, I can't remember the name of the dollar stores anyways, but Cassie sent me a bunch in the mail because I love them so much. And this was one of the earring pieces, and it was teal already, but I just went over it with some gesso to lighten it up a little bit. And the chain from the necklace piece, I just took off and then just sort of had it just randomly hanging over the bottle and kind of falling down, so it's, you know, glossy accented all over, so it's not going to move anywhere. So that's that box. And then this one here, that propeller, is part of that the chipboard die set that I got from Mini Album Scraps, and I just added one of the little spinners from Tim Holtz on there with a little brad from Tim Holtz. This is a piece I got from Becca in our recent swap, a jewelry piece, and I just put some alcohol ink over top of the acrylic piece to make it look a little bit more vintage, and then I just put gesso over top of that. There's a screw sitting there and a gear in the back. This is just it used to be a plain wooden button that I adhered some of that vintage paper I got from Sabine, and then put some thread in there, some teal thread, and rubbed it with gesso. This here is actually just 3 pieces of jewelry wire. Do I have it close by? Yes, it's just this, just the wire, and it's 26 gauge I used for this one, and I just took 3 pieces I had of scraps and I braided it and then made it sort of, I bent it so it twisted. The ends I sort of just wrapped around, and then it had a few pieces like that. And then what I was doing with that wire was I was making a wire ball. So if you guys can see that there, I just took a piece of wire and just wrapped it around a big pearl, and then I slipped the pearl out, formed it into a nice ball, and then I just altered it with alcohol ink and paint. And that's the look I got, and I made another one I'll show you up in the other corner there in a second, but I kept the pearl in it this time, or with the other one. Here's another I Am Roses. I painted like crazy, gesso on there. This is it used to be just plain silver, kind of a gunmetal silver, and I painted it with acrylic paint, black acrylic paint, rubbed that off, and then put rub and buff and gesso, all kinds of stuff on there. And I also put the black enamel accents. I don't know if you guys ever played with this stuff. I have white and black, but it hardens like enamel, and I added it to the spots where there used to be colored rhinestones. There was like pink and blue rhinestones, but I took them out and just added black enamel in there. You can't really make it out because I did go over it with paint again anyway. So here is a bottle cap charm I made. I took a beer bottle cap that I had saved. I like to save with them whenever we're having some drinks and whatnot, so I saved it, and then I added some. That's actually Tim Holtz, from one of the Tim Holtz paper stashes. I just used my paper punch, circle punch to punch it out, and then put it back there, put lots of glossy accent in it, let it set, and then rubbed it with some, I think I painted around the back with black acrylic paint and then put gesso over top. Here's just it kind of reminds me of an old newspaper, you know, when you get a newspaper rolled up and thrown onto your doorstep. Well, I did that with that vintage paper I got from Sabine, and just sort of ripped the edges a bit so it looked like it was really old and tattered. And I just kind of stuffed it back there. Okay, for the next one I made another book, like I did in my last one, but with this one I did a hardcover with chipboard. So I put over top of the chipboard, I just recycled chipboard. I don't even know what food container it was from, but I love to recycle it because I like to have some medium and lightweight chipboard in my stash as well, because I do get my heavyweight from Joanne. So this was more like a medium weight chipboard, and I added some paper I just cut out from the Graphic 45 collection. And the spine, what did I do with the spine? What was that paper? I think it was black cardstock I put for the spine of it. And I made this, sorry you guys, trying to play with the angle here. I made like a little tassel bookmark type of thing hanging down from that. And then I just went over with rub and buff, gesso, all kinds of paint. And there's some more of that netting back there I painted. This says Breathe 4462. It's one of those memento chips, whatever they're called, from Tim Holtz. This little thing is just a metal tag. It was plain. Sorry you guys, I'm trying to get a good angle here. Again, refer to my pictures. It's just a metal tag, and I colored it with alcohol ink, and I smeared glossy accent down it so it looked almost like brush strokes. And then I cut a little piece of ruler that I also got from, it's just like plain paper ruler I got from Deb 2113 in Iraq a while ago, and I just cut it up and alcohol inked it and just put it back there along with the screw I alcohol inked. Here's another I Am Roses. This is one of those, I think they're the S10s I put right there. So that's that box. Here is another box. I love this one. I love the fence. I actually got these, I love shopping at my dollar store for random things for crafting, you guys, and I found these mini popsicle sticks, and only $1 for these bad boys. There's so many of them, 150 I think. Yeah, 150. And so I just made a fence, and I remember seeing Saw Crafters make one out of cardboard, and I really wanted to try one, and so ever since then, then I found those wood sticks, and I thought they'd be perfect, so I just cut the ends just with my Tim Holtz scissors to make them sort of look pointed but not even, so they were sort of vintage looking, like an old rickety fence. And then I went with, again, that same wire I made this out of here and this braid. I just went around the fence to loop it around to secure it in place and twisted it. And I went over the entire thing with gesso, including the wire, and then I just touched it with a bit of that teal acrylic paint mixture I made, and more gesso and some black paint and a bit of copper paint I think on there too. And then I just sort of randomly hung a Tim Holtz, or no, that's one of those bead landing gears, but I put glossy accent over it as well because I wanted it to have a little bit more dimension and shine. And this is just a black paper clip that's just, it's a big jumbo one, and it's just sort of sitting down inside, and it's holding up one of the little stamps I got, also IAR fussy cut from the paper collection. This is just a gold charm I had in my stash that I just buffed up with some gesso. And in the back, hopefully you guys can see, those are 2 black skeleton leaves from I Am Roses. Love skeleton leaves. And then again, I just kind of hung a piece of chain. It's actually the same type of chain as this one here, I think. And I just painted it black and rubbed it with gesso. I always want to say rub and buff. I did touch a lot of things with gesso and rub and buff. Okay, so going up to this one here, this is again a piece of that paper ruler, but the other side. So this one was like centimeters increments. This is the inches increment side, and I just distressed it with vintage photo. Another one of those fragment charms. I put a piece of the paper collection behind it. It's a woman's head profile. Can't quite make it out on camera. Sorry, guys. And this was just a silver wing that I alcohol inked with some. I think it was the caramel alcohol ink and ginger, and then I went over a little bit with some teal alcohol ink. I don't remember the color offhand, and then gesso and another gear in the back with one of those hinge knob fasteners, whatever you call them. Here is another bead landing gear that I actually bent into a 90-degree angle and just sort of slipped it in there because I didn't want it fully, because I didn't want it to block too much of this bolt that I put in there. And that's just a bolt I got from Home Depot. Yes, guys, I actually shop at Home Depot and just randomly get hardware stuff. I think I got a bag here somewhere recently of my Home Depot purchase. And then another one of those S10 flowers from I Am Roses. And going on to the next one. Oh, and if you look here, here's the screws that go inside this here. You can kind of see them a little bit. Oh, that's horrible. Horrible, horrible. I apologize. Anyways, I alcohol ink them with some caramel and the teal alcohol ink. Okay, there we go. So here's some stamens from I Am Roses that were white, and I did a lot of alcohol inking with the teal and the caramel and ginger, and then I made them almost like a bouquet, like a bundled bouquet of flowers, and I just tied them with some of my string I had. And this is another, I got ink all over my finger still. Here's another gear that I bent into like a 90-degree angle to put into the corner. And more little gears, a G2 flower for I Am Roses. I actually took off a layer. I think I still have it here. Yeah, I took a layer of the petals off, so it was a bit smaller. And here's another one of those wire, the wire and pearl charms I made. I don't know, embellishment, whatever you want to make it. I just took a pearl, alcohol inked it and painted it so it wasn't, pearl color anymore. And then I put the wire in through the hole of the bead and then all the way around and twisted it and made it look like that. Sorry guys, I'm trying to get the lighting right again. This is so hard to do with a shadow configuration box. Ugh. Okay, sorry. And then again, this is one of those word sticks that says hope, and I just went over it with some gesso so that the gesso would go inside of the embossed or engraved portion of the metal, and then went over it with some alcohol ink to make it a bit more teal, and then some gesso on the outside, and then a ball chain on the outside just kind of coming down and going in and around. Okay. Going on to the next one. Here is just one of those numbers from Tim Holtz that was silver that I alcohol inked and painted and gessoed and all kinds of stuff. Got a little bit more of that netting there. This is just one of those, it almost looks like an ivory or bone type of I don't even know what type of material it is, but it's hard and it's a bead. And I got it from Deb2113 in Iraq a while ago, and it says believe, and I just alcohol inked and gesso painted it and put it on top of it's actually going through a memento pin, which I did this before, similar to before in my last project for my husband, and I poked it through the chipboard and up so that the pin is sticking up, and I just fed through a bolt, or nut, sorry, and the bead, and then secured it with glossy accent. Put a wing charm there, and this is again that vintage paper from Sabine that I cut up or ripped up into little rectangle pieces, almost to look like old letters, and tied them into a bundle. And just put a bow and then put some, oh, I almost need some water, I'm talking so much, sorry, some chain over top. Another charm that I bent into like a 90-degree angle to put into the corner there. And then these X's kind of look like stitches, but I did that with that enamel accent, that black enamel accent, and it hardened quite fast actually. And so I did that there and then went over everything with gesso pretty much. And then in this side there's a key here. I'm not sure where that key came from. I think it was from Joanne. And then I just put some gesso over top of it, and there's a dragonfly charm I had, and a bolt, and this was actually fun, and I was inspired to do this bolt with this vintage paper over top of it from the industrial chic, I think it was, or it could have been bead landing. I think it was industrial chic when I was in Michael's, and I was looking and I saw a string of bolts just like this that was like all distressed looking, and it had random ripped pieces of the vintage paper. And so that's what I did with this, you guys. It was so much fun. So why not make your own? Don't need to spend like $8 on those. I made my own. It turned out really good. I like the look of it. So that's what I did there. And I just put a screw kind of going through there that I alcohol inked and put gesso on it, a domino tab, and then a couple of roses from I Am Roses in different sizes that I altered drastically. They were just white before. Another bead landing gear in the back and some more of that netting. So that's that. And then this one, I did the same thing with the big huge bolt. And again, I got these bolts, or nuts, sorry, they're nuts. I always want to call them bolts. I got the nuts at Home Depot, and these are huge honking ones. I love these huge ones. And I did put the script paper, or the vintage paper on there as well, but I went over it with alcohol afterwards and it turned the paper quite dark. So it didn't turn out like this one, like the way I wanted it to, but I still like the look of it. So I went over it with some more alcohol ink and then gesso. And there's black chain coming through it and into the back, and then this is a piece of the paper that I cut out and I just kind of stuck into the hanger because it's like a hanger paper clip, and I got that from Cassie. Thanks, Cass. And this is another chipboard gear that I altered from that mini album scraps. This light bulb, you guys, I went to the thrift store and I found a few packs of were they 2 packs or something like that? I don't know, but they were super. I think I got like maybe 8 of them for 75 cents total. So. And they are old, like they're super old, but apparently the guy's like, they still work. I'm like, that's okay, I'm not using them for its purpose. I'm using it for crafts. He kind of looked at me funny. Anyways, in the back there is a button that I altered. It was just a wood button, and I painted it with black acrylic paint, and then went over it with some gold rum buff. And then this is just a pearl bead. And there's a bead there. It's kind of like a faux metal bead, or maybe it is metal. I'm not sure. I can't remember where it came from. I think, Deb, you gave that to me as well. But anyway, so that is that little configuration box, you guys. And then the final one, this one is so much fun. Oh my goodness, I totally forgot to give credit. The whole idea of this came from Rach0113, and I will post her link in the YouTube description box below from my video. Oh, gotta give credit to her. The whole inspiration of this concept yeah, came from her, with where you take a box and you have the configuration. I think her box came with the drawers already, or the little shelves, but anyways, the inspiration totally came from her, you guys, as well as using the glossy accent and re-inker. I put walnut distress ink re-inker and glossy accents into a little, you know, bowl, and I stirred it up, and then I poured it into here. It took like a week to actually harden, but I also dripped it with a dropper, and you can't make it out on camera, but there are drips coming off the side of the alcohol, or of the re-inker and glossy accent, so it's looked like it spilled over the edge, but you can't quite make it out on camera. Anyways, and this was a Tim Holtz stamp. It had a whole bunch of tickets all over it, and I just stamped it onto a little label that I already have, a sticky label. I think, do I have more? Oh, yeah. Here's the ones that didn't turn out very good, but anyways, there's these sticky labels, and I stamped them onto that and just stuck it onto the bottle. So it's I know it's theater, but it says majestic, and so I like that. And there's another G2 I Am Rose there that I took off the outer petals. I put a nut there that I alcohol inked. Here's a game spinner with a brad and a gear that I kind of put together. And here's another one of those corsets. So I crisscrossed that, you guys, and tied it in a bow at the bottom, and secured the pieces down there with a bit of glossy accent. So anyways, I hope I covered everything, you guys. I may have missed something because there's so much happening with this configuration box. So anyways, Lamore, I really hope you like this. Thank you so much, Rach0113, for all of the inspiration. I love her mixed media work, you guys. If you haven't checked her out, be sure to go check her out. Everyone, and even Lamore, you've inspired me with your mixed media work and your videos that I've been watching. So I wanted to really... I know you love mixed media, so I wanted to give you something that was a little bit of mixed media and some teal and, you know, grunge. I really hope you like it. Thanks everybody for watching. I know this is a super long video, probably going to be 2 parts, but again, if you want to watch me construct the box portion of it and like the painting and a bit of the embellishing of the papers and stuff, then continue watching. And again, check out my blog, you guys, for more information on the I Am Roses products used. Don't forget to check out I Am Roses website to purchase these wonderful floral embellishments, leaves, and stamens as well. Thanks everybody for watching. Please leave a comment. I'd love to hear what you think. Thanks guys. Bye.